down the fourth. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is G sharp's up there, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's on film, isn't it? Zeros and ones. All right, so there are relations in the key of C. What is the, okay, going forward with sharps, we use the tendency tone of the leading tone to determine our key signature. What is the next sharp? On the flats, we do it by what is the other tendency tone, the fourth scale degree. So in the key of C, there are no sharps and flats. The fourth scale degree is an F. So we're not going up a fifth, we're going down a fifth, right? C down to F. F down to B flat becomes our next key signature. Down a fifth to E flat, down a fifth to A flat, etc., moving. So we're talking about the other tendency tone that is the added accidental in each of the key signatures. Okay. Now to part right. So if we've gotten our key signatures, we've gotten our intervals, we've gotten our scales, we've got triads, we've got seventh chords. So our triads and seventh chords are going to be information to help us do our part writing, but it's really more information than we need to really part write. So,
By when in the semester would you say you're at part writing?
so what?
What point in the year would you say you get to part writing?
Me, generally in October. Many people January. But it's the first year I didn't teach the freshmen. So I don't know what they got to. I think they ended the year at the same place. I just get there as quick as possible because I find it more interesting than musicianship skills, which I teach in like an arrogant, mystified way. A soul-crushing approach to freshman theory. Okay, so now the circle of fifths is the circle of fifths because it moves in fifths. The thing about these things we use in music theory is if you kind of get one part of the procedure off, everything's wrong. So I try to get kids to memorize the exact key signatures and then also come to understand what it all means. But you still have to be able to function as a musician. Now, in part writing, we have this is what we do in tonal music. Opening tonic, dominant, closing tonic. All right? We have none of these things without the other thing. Okay? Tonic and dominant don't mean anything until it's dominant to tonic. I know that sounded strange, but it's true. All right. Now, this is how we begin. That means we have one. The goal of our procedure, tonic, dominant, tonic, is to move in fifths. So that means 5 moves to 1. Okay? If we move a fifth beyond 5, we get to what? All right, so 2 is what we call a predominant. So we have the greatest thing ever invented, the 2-5-1 progression. Okay? Now, what else do we have? We have substitution. 7 substitutes for 5. And let's understand right now what that means. If I have this chord, that's GBD. If I have this chord, that's 5-7. If I have this chord, that's 7. 7 has all the goody of 5-7 in it. So 7 substitutes for 5. Most likely you would see it in a first inversion or something. But let's just use Roman numerals, all right? What substitutes for 2 is a 4. We consider 2 and 4 predominants, and they are both treated the same way. Let's think of all our 4-y and 2-y things. Well, think about 4. All right, that's a 4 chord in this key. What if I had a 2-6-5 chord? The only difference is that note, isn't it? So you can see how that's essentially the same as playing. It's functionally the same. So the closely relatedest note to a chord to 4 is 2-6-5, ergo 2-6, 4. So all of your inversions of 2 and 4 and the 7th chords associated with them, those are predominant, and they're all dealt with the same way. What do predominants do? They go to dominants. What do dominants do? They go to tonics or tonic substitutions. So if you notice this, if I have 2-5-1, that's a fifths progression, yeah. 4-7 is a fifths progression, yeah. In the circle of fifths, it's 1 to 4 to 7 to 3 to 6 to 2 to 5 to 1. So you see that. You get it. All right, I understand. You get it. Okay, so if this is 1, what is a fifth away from 2 is 6, yes? Well, 1 to 6, 6, if you think of it in a deceptive way, like a deceptive cadence moves 5 to 6, so it's a substitution for 1, and 2 of the notes are the same in the chord, right? C, E, G, A, C, E. So 6 is actually an extension of 1, and then that also has a relationship to 6 to 2 to 5 to 1. Yes? Is that understood? Now what is left out here is 3. because we don't ever use 3.
I hate it.
What does 3 normally do? If 6 is a substitution for 1, so is 3. And if you look at it, what does 3 usually go to? 4. Okay. Now, when you get like band music and stuff, you get 3 going other places, but we're not talking about that so much. So most of your progressions now become that. That's it. We've summed it all up. Now, all of your other chords, what chords do you have from there? Well, you have the Neapolitan and the German 6 chord, or the augmented 6 chords, yes? They all go to the dominant. So at a certain point, beginning of your sophomore year, you deal with predominant chords for kind of a while. And in a bigger sense, modulation to the dominant is a predominant. 5 of 5 is a predominant. Neapolitan, all the augmented 6 chords are predominants. Everything else is just an elaboration of the other key, like a secondary 7th chord or dominant, secondary dominant or 7th chord. So we have this progression in root position, but it also has to represent things in inversion too. But we'll get to that. I think tomorrow we will begin with root position part writing. So they are summed up in the following ways. Roots moving a 4th or a 5th. Roots moving a 3rd or a 6th. Roots moving a 2nd or a 7th. That's all of the progressions that there are. And we have ways in which we deal with all of them. And they're very, very exciting ways. Very exciting. I think it's important to do lots of root position part writing, but it is all sort of the same. It's not very interesting. It's difficult to harmonize a melody only using root position. It gets very formulaic. But we are teaching things that represent bigger things. We want to understand the underlying motion in the melody and the harmony, and that's why we have guidelines and why we do certain things certain ways to be able to represent. It's not better than the music when we reduce things to its least common denominator. It just gives us another way to understand it. And here is the bottom line. What is music theory for? And it is to better understand the beauty and the power of the music. It is also an end in itself, and this is why music is the greatest art, in that you have a real-time event where you're witnessing in real time things happening that have aesthetic meaning to your ears and your acoustic body. But you may also look at that one page of the Beethoven Symphony or Schoenberg or Bach or whoever's. You can look at that measure and gain intellectual insight and aesthetic beauty, actual artistic beauty, looking at something statically and plastically and derive great aesthetic value from it. And that's why I believe music is the greatest art, because you have both of these outlets to your aesthetic pleasure and beauty. Well, I don't think we did much today, but we'll try to do better tomorrow. Tomorrow we part right in vocal style, and then I will immediately teach you keyboard style, which is the way the cool kids do it.